Now we'll move on to a general update on the San Bruno Park School District services and activities from our district superintendent, Dr. Stella Kemp.
Good evening. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Before I begin, I want to just recognize Terry Chavez, trustee-elect. Did she leave the room? There she is right back here. It's our new trustee. I don't see any other trustees here in attendance this evening. So, well, it's been about a year since I've been here to see you. When I arrived in the district in August 2017, the district was in a very different place than it is today. We were in fiscal recovery. There were staffing issues. As I began to learn more about the district, I recognized that we lacked systems. There was a history of labor relation issues in the district, and there really wasn't a plan for the educational and special education programs. And so a lot has happened in this past year. When I arrived, we had a foundation of strong partnerships in our community, and the partnerships with the Community Foundation, the Education Foundation, with YouTube, with the Welch Foundation, with a variety of number of citizens here in San Bruno. And there was a readiness in the community for something to happen in the school district. People really wanted to see some improvements. And so when I came to you this time last year, I said we had 4 goals. Our goals were to improve the educational program by providing 21st century teaching and learning to our students, to develop our community as partners, to achieve and maintain fiscal solvency, and to attract and develop our staff. And ultimately, we wanted to make sure that we had the dollars in the bank, the fiscal resources to be able to serve a program for today and for tomorrow. And so what I want to talk to you about are about these 4 things, beginning with the fiscal health. So what we did in the last year is that to address our fiscal health, we started with the reorganization of looking at every position in the school district office and identifying, did these positions actually meet the goals of the school district? We've had some challenges with special education. We had a number of students that have been going out of the school district and being served in non-public settings. We've brought the students back, and we have a new special education director who's doing a fantastic job to analyze the program and make recommendations for improvement. We now have a positive 3-year budget. Last year, the district was identified as a basic aid school district here in California, and so that helped us to kind of move along our fiscal recovery much quicker than we had expected. Last year, we closed El Crystal School. We consolidated the students into 2 schools, into Allen and into John Muir, and now we have placed the property on the market, and the board will be making a decision on this shortly. We have received nearly $500,000 in grants in the past year, and we've improved our student attendance across the board in our school district. Regarding our under-enrolled aging schools, I am here to say we are celebrating in San Bruno. The most recent update on the Measure X campaign showed that there were nearly 7,000 midterm voters here in San Bruno, which is the highest turnout in many years, and we passed with a 67.7% margin, which is one of the highest margins that's been seen in this area. So congratulations to the community. And this would not have been possible if it weren't for the support of you, the City Council, community members. Many of them, I see you in the audience this evening, who are here, who walked and talked to folks, made phone calls. We're out on Saturdays. We're out at the community, at the concerts in the community. So thank you for your support and for your trust in the school district to move forward our vision for 21st century schools. And one of the things we did last year, kind of to get ourselves ready for the campaign, was our facilities visioning and planning. And we had a committee of local stakeholders, including we had Scott Rogie was there, we had fire department, we had Parks and Rec, all came forward from the city to help us think about what does a school look like, a 21st century school, and how might we shape that in our design for our new schools. One of the things I want to point out to the community is that we are seeing a decline in enrollment in San Bruno schools, and this is largely because birth rates are lower. Period. Birth rates are lower, and so that's the challenge that we're seeing. And you can notice from one year to the next, almost 100 kindergartner difference. So we're noticing that, and we're keeping that in mind as we're developing our programs. Another area that, and you can see our school enrollment, as you know, we closed El Cristal. It was a school that had 165 kids that lived in the community in the attendance boundary, and now you can see sort of what our attendance or enrollment looks like from October the 1st this year at all of our remaining schools. So with Rollingwood being about 252 and the largest school being Parkside Intermediate, which serves grades 6, 7, and 8. One of the other things that we have been doing is really working on how we can improve the recruitment and retention of staff. And so we were very fortunate this year. We settled negotiations with the Teachers Association. In 7 sessions, a full contract was settled with a 3% salary increase for the 18-19 school year and a 2% salary increase in the 19-20 school year. Also making some contract adjustments, and with our classified association, we have also settled contract for the next 3 years. We've been very aggressive with the recruiting staff, and we started off the school year with only 1 teacher opening in general education, which we filled with about 2 weeks after school started. It is challenging to hire teachers all across California. There is a tremendous teacher shortage, and it's particularly in special education, and we're working on some strategies to try to grow our own special education teachers. We have been talking about staff housing partnership. I've been investigating a couple of different opportunities out there, and we'll be bringing a report back to the board. As you know, in March, we hired a new assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, or educational services, and she has put together a comprehensive professional development plan. And that's part of the project for us to improve student achievement, is supporting our teachers to have the skill set to address the needs of our students. And then lastly, we have had a great success with our community, with our PTAs, and with the Chamber of Commerce, who've helped us to recognize and appreciate our employees. With our launch this year of the school year, we had a convocation at Parkside that was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and then we had Welch Family Foundation provide gift baskets, and then we have a spring recognition for all of our teachers and staff. And one of the other things that we're doing is really looking at our educational programs. So, we're getting ready to adopt a new curriculum for social studies. And then next year we'll have a new science curriculum coming on board. We're working on expanding our partnerships for summer programs. And this year we served more students than we ever have at the middle school through a partnership with the Silicon Valley Education Foundation. And we also have our Big Lift summer program that we have for students, and we expanded that through some local funding. We're focusing mostly on this year on English learner programming to ensure that all of our English learners are getting the program that they need for to become fluent in English. So that's kind of where we are today. And so I want to just spend a little time talking to you about where we're going. So in our district, we want to ensure that our children thrive, that they're thriving academically, socially, and emotionally, and that they become contributing members of society. Well, in a K-8 school district, you're like, well, they go to high school. Okay, so we're trying to make sure that when they get to high school, they're ready for high school. And so to do that, what we're doing is we're focusing on improving our educational program. We have a project that's starting in January. It's called Portrait of a Graduate, which is our strategic plan for our educational program, which really defines what are those skill sets that the students have to have when they leave San Bruno Park to be successful in high school and beyond. We continue to implement our SEAL program, which is a language acquisition program in grades K through 3. Next year we'll be adding pre-K to this so that we can ensure that our preschool programs have a quality language development program. Parkside is working on middle school transformation efforts to ensure that the kids who are there are getting their needs met, that we're trying to implement a variety of different structures at the school. And so the new principal, along with the instructional leadership team at the school, is looking at how they can ensure that the middle school serves the students to make sure that they're successful for high school. And you can see a variety of other things. We've had STEM program expansion at Allen and John Muir, project-based learning, coding with Google. Our GATE program is coming back. Our science fair is coming back. Summer programs, as I mentioned. We're getting ready to start our early learning community of practice to bring all of our early childhood care providers together, and data systems to monitor all this. So if we're going to do something, we want to make sure that we're getting the results for our dollars. And the last thing I wanted to say to this is that we're really focusing on the leadership development for our principals. Last week, we took our principals to a leadership conference, and we have principals in our district who've been there for almost 20 years, and they have never attended a conference before. And so we felt like that if we want to ensure that they have the skill sets to work with their staff to really implement these things, we need to develop our principals. And so we're very pleased, and we got a lot of great feedback from them that they had gained a lot from this attending this conference. Of course, now we have Measure X, and so it's time for us to begin thinking about what are we going to do with our facilities and what's the first project. And so the Measure X committee there's two components to it. We have a Citizens Oversight Committee, and then we'll have the internal committees that will work on kind of phasing this out, and then we'll have the community input committees that will work on the design aspect of that. And then the other part is the sale of the surplus property. We have El Crystal, as I mentioned earlier, and then the board will need to decide what they're going to do with the remaining projects that we have. And as you recall, these are the things that we want to make sure we do when we address the new schools: science labs, collaboration in design spaces and technology, handicap access, flexible multi-use spaces, and also thinking about student growth, because while our enrollment is down now about by 100 kindergartners, and that will matriculate over the years, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And so we want to make sure that we're ready for the children eventually when they do show up. The fiscal health is of great concern to any school district, and so we're always being told that the recession is just around the corner. You need to be prepared for that. And so we're making sure that we're continuing to implement the recommendations of the Budget Advisory Committee. We're bringing together our strategic planning, our budget advisory, and our local control accountability planning committees. So we have one large committee that sort of oversees all the educational and fiscal programs that are happening in the district. So everything is lined up and it's very clear. And one of the things that I'm doing as a superintendent is really going out and trying to develop partnerships and looking for grant opportunities for us, because I know there's some things that we would like to do that we can't currently do, so we're looking for ways to be able to fund those programs through grants. And then I think the most important thing in any school district is the engagement of the community in our schools. And so I just wanted to point out to the council and to our community that there are ways for folks to get involved. You can get involved by being part of our strategic planning or our facilities visioning committee, Measure X Citizens Oversight Committee, or you can also just be involved by reading our communications that we put out there. We have a new website. It's SBPSD.org, brand new website, shorter address. You can also come to any of our board meetings, which we have either at Parkside or at Allen School, and the agendas are posted online. We also have a Facebook page, San Bruno Park Schools. And then as a parent or a student, if you want to get involved, there's a variety of ways you can get involved, from being a member of the PTA to being part of the district's English Learner Advisory Committee to attending parent education programs that we offer at Bel Air and at Parkside. You can read our electronic newsletters that are going out now that come out every quarter. And if you're a PTA parent and you'd like to be on the President's Council, we have a group of 6 PTA presidents who come and meet with me once a quarter, and we try to coordinate all the services of our PTAs across the school district. And then lastly, of course, at the school side, if being involved in School Site Council and the English Learner Acquisition Committee. And then the last thing is that I think is so important is that when we hire staff, we spend a lot of time and invest a lot of money in the projects of bringing people to our district. And so it's so important for us that when we go out and we recruit people, we've put together these new recruitment packets for getting folks to come to our district to showcase the great work that's happening here in San Bruno and the opportunity for a young educator or a young administrator to come and work with us. And so we're utilizing a lot of online platforms now. We've been out to a couple of job fairs, which had never happened in the past, to recruit people and try to find folks early in the school year. And then we're working right now with our staff to update the teacher evaluation instruments, and we're trying to figure out ways that we can leverage our programs in the district to be able to give teachers prep time during the day. One of the challenges an elementary teacher has is that they're teaching for 6 hours a day, and they have no prep. So by using PE or music or those kinds of programs, we can give the teachers an opportunity to come together and to prep or to collaborate with their colleagues. And the last piece is really around professional development. So with our new Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, we're really working on trying to ensure that we have a comprehensive multi-year plan to train staff on strategies that will support the educational outcomes of our students. And so as I close, I just wanted to say that in San Bruno, our school district has really moved from a school district that's been looking in the rearview mirror for years to an organization that's now looking out to the future. We're looking out the windshield, we're looking forward, and we're planning what's going to happen next and be ready for those things. So thank you.
And then Dr. Kemp, you did have one of the school board members came in. Mr. Mason is in the back.
Yes, Mr. Mason. Yes. Thank you.
We'll issue a tardy slip for that.
Oh. Dr. Kemp, thank you very much for coming forward and bringing the council up to date and the community. As we've always said, we may serve in different facets with the school board and the city council, but in essence, we serve one community, and we serve all the residents. So thank you. Thank you for the partnership, and thank you for the update, and we look forward to the next one.
My pleasure. Thank you.